see this place for myself.
Good. It's something, huh?
No Bob Mitchum?
What are you drinking? Come on. You know, when I mentioned the renovation, I didn't know if you heard me.
I've been curious about seeing this place. I'm actually involved with architects on this department store. Signage, mostly.
I like this room, although I am its prime target. Traveling salesman.
In that suit, I should say not.
Oh, I'm not one of those boys who looks forward to a business trip to escape the wife and kids.
I take it for granted.
Hey, kitten. You okay?
My friends are dead and everyone hates me. Other than that, perfect. Hey, you talk to Mom? Keep trying her cell and it just goes straight to voicemail.
Well, I don't think the ashram allows phones.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm Joe, also known as Jay-Z Productions on YouTube. I got an amazing guest for the podcast. What is your name, sir?
Bryan Batt.
Welcome, Mr. Bryan. I got a couple questions for you, if you don't mind.
Sure. Let him rip.
Okay. What are you doing during these times of quarantine?
A lot of nothing. No, I've been reflecting. I've been eating too much. I stopped that. Back on my good schedule, getting back to fighting weight. I've been sitting on our porch watching neighbors walk by some nights. It's been a very lazy afternoon, a lazy early evening summers for us, or spring. I've done a lot of Zoom meetings, Zoom reading of a play I was doing when all this happened in New York, The King's Speech. We did a reading of that. I just finished a 3-day shoot for a commercial for the New Orleans airport. I live in New Orleans, and with a lot of great jazz musicians and musicians here, like Big Frida and Robin Barnes and Kermit Ruffins, who's an incredible trumpet player, and a great trombonist named Big Sam. And it was all about how the airport's ready and safe, and wear your mask and wash, sanitize your hands and all that stuff. It was really fun. It was a great group of people, and who knows, it might be out there, in social media one day soon. Otherwise, I've been reading. I've been watching a lot of television. A lot more than I've ever watched in my entire life. Good thing, because we didn't have a TV. My husband and I never really had a TV here in the house, one that we really watched ever. It wasn't like part of our lives. Like if there was something special we had to watch or something like that, we'd tune in. If even a friend was doing something. But right a couple of months before all this went down, luckily I sprung for a big flat screen, and really, the TV we had before was a Sony Trinitron, and it was hidden in. I had it forever, and it was hidden in an armoire, and we'd close it up and never look at it. Now, some nights you come here, and I've watched a lot of television, some great TV. I loved The Great. Have you seen The Great with Elle Fanning?
Yes.
It's fantastic, and it's just a whole spectrum of good TV. I'm working on my play. I wrote a play called Dear Mr. Williams, and I've been working on that. It's a one-man show, so hopefully when theater can come back, gradually people are wanting to do more one-person shows, because therefore backstage there won't be people. There won't be, because usually in a theater you're crammed up in dressing rooms, you're crammed up backstage. And on Broadway, there's a lot of, unfortunately, the theaters are small. The lobbies are small. So it's going to be they have to figure this out, how that's going to work. But other theaters across the country, do have larger spaces. Like there's a wonderful theater here that I was on the board of for years called Le Petit Theater in the French Quarter, right on Jackson Square. And they have 4 separate entrances that they can use. And they can social distance the seats in a way. People come together. If you come with your family that you've been living with or quarantined with, you have 4 seats, then 6 feet, then 2 people. I'm a solution-oriented person. Mm-hmm. You got to make a plan. You take in the information as you get it, and try to think ahead. But I try to. If you put your heads together, usually there is a solution. So I'm hoping people will come up with one so I can get back to work. But yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Wow, that's good use of your quarantine. That's good. What made you want to become an actor, and who's your biggest inspiration?
Oh gosh. I just I think as a child I was shy, and it was a way to express myself. And I could always could make people laugh when I was little, and it was a defense mechanism, and also being silly. It was a way of deflecting. Uh, and I think but I did fall in love with it with pretty young when I was in third grade. There was the Christmas show at school, and they did what is it, Night Before Christmas, and the teachers wrote in Rudolph for me, and because I could dance and I could do acrobatics and all that stuff, and little light up nose, and I was tap dancing around the place with the lantern, and stood on my head, and I looked at the audience, and the audience of the whole lower school went crazy clapping, and I thought, oh, this is cool, this is great, I love this. And as I grew older, I stopped around puberty because it wasn't cool, and I was going through all these you're going through all these changes, and sports were, you made fun of if you were in theater. I don't know why, but people did. They didn't think it was cool or masculine or whatever. And so I tried to play, sports, and I was horrible, just horrible. I was uncoordinated. I could do other things, but I just still don't understand some of these games. Like, why are you hurling a ball at my face? I just don't get it. But, later on, I had the drama teacher at my school, Mrs. Greenberg, had seen me when I was a little kid do the plays. And in high school, I think I was a sophomore or junior, and I hadn't tried out for a play yet. And she cornered me in the hallway, literally cornered me, and said, when are you going to try out for my play? You know you want to. You know you'd be good, and you know you'd love it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. And I did. And I think that was it. I was just hooked after that. I loved it. And I had, good roles in high school. And then I went to college, and I didn't realize I loved the theater. I loved going to New York. First time I went to New York I was a sophomore in high school with my mom and my grandmother. And it was just an eye-opening experience. But I never realized that was a way of making a living. I saw movie stars, and I didn't see it as like, I didn't know anyone who was. So how, maybe I was just so sheltered. But I remember seeing a Broadway show with one of my cousins, and she goes, you could do that. You could do, and I thought, what? Yeah, I can. And then I started, studying, I started taking acting classes, dance classes, singing lessons, and all that stuff. And I've been doing it ever since. Once when my father was opposed to it for a while, but before he died right after I graduated from college. I stayed here in New Orleans and went to Tulane rather than go to a conservatory, which I wish I had. I wish I had gone to a league school, or one of the schools that it makes it so much easier when you graduate from college because all the agents see you and all that stuff. But listen, you can't go back. But before he died, he did say, I'm so glad you found something you're passionate about, something that you love, something that, gives you purpose and that you enjoy doing. And I wish that for everyone, whatever it is, as long as it's, safe and healthy, it doesn't hurt anyone. But, I do, and I've loved acting and I've loved performing, but there's a lot of other things that I love too. I love art. I love design. I love, all different aspects of the arts, and I love shopping, which is kind of crazy. But so my husband and I, almost 18 years ago, in 2003, opened. We always wanted to open up a shop on Magazine Street in New Orleans. It's a really cool street, and it's almost like 6 miles. But there are these enclaves every so often of these wonderful shops, and all different kinds of shops, but they're all primarily locally owned. It's not like going to a mall where everything's homogenized and there's all these national brands, where someone sits in a boardroom and figures out what you're going to wear and what you're going to do, you know what I mean? Or what you're going to hang in your home, or what you're going to, anyway. So a show I was supposed to do just got canceled, like the rug pulled out from under it. And I had put all my eggs in that basket because it was a leading role. And I thought, wow, this is going to be great. And then Tom had already done the business plan and worked on it. I said, let's do it. We do it now. And everything fell into place. I think when things are meant to happen, obstacles become opportunities. You know what I mean? It's you have to be open to it. You know, you kind of have to go, wait, I'm going, oh, everybody, the universe is telling me this ain't right. But when it is right, and also, like, you know, we called my sister-in-law and said, if you see any, you know, this is the area we want to be in. If if anybody knows of any, you know, vacancies. And she goes, that's funny. I just passed a store in the block, the best block, and it's 3 p.m. and it's a shoe store. And on Wednesday, why is it closed? She went to the next door neighbor. They got the number. We called, and literally within 48 hours, we had a lease. You know, it was quick. And the store's called Hazelnut, and it's been in operation ever since. And we're online, hazelnutneworleans.com, and on Facebook. So if you like it, like us on Facebook, Instagram, and all that stuff. And that kept me busy also in the beginning of this pandemic, because we had to close the doors, but we could still do online shopping. We could do, you know, I was the delivery boy. I went around the city delivering things, and people were like, wait, it's you? I'm like, yeah, it's me. What else am I going to do? You know, this gets me out. I can drive around. I have my mask. And then we did, you know, curbside pickup, where people would, you know, call when they were in front of the store. We'd put their package out, you know, close it. It's an old fashioned, you know, real gift home furnishing shop. You know, we gift wrap, and it's also you know, it's kind of a social place. You know, people come in and want to chat. And now we're open. We're in phase 2 here, or are we in phase 1? I think we're in phase 2. And they're starting to have a spike, unfortunately. I think people are just sick of, you know, the requirements. And I just don't get it. I mean, if you're going out in public, put a mask on. It's not that hard. And it's not contradictory to your freedom or anything like that. This is how businesses will be able to stay open. This is how we will be able to, you know, get together if we're safe about it. It doesn't make sense. You know, it's like, listen, it's like in the 80s and 90s when, like I said, they'd wear a condom. Like, duh, do it. Anyway, I don't mean to get in all that, but it makes me crazy. But, you know, I realized that I like a lot of different things. And I think life is an and proposition, not an or proposition. You can do this and that. I think the best thing for being an actor, for me, was opening up the shop and realizing there's a whole world out there of people that are not affiliated with show business. People in show business are very unique breed of human beings, because I got so ticked of everyone would just say, you know, I got tired of everyone like, what are you working on? What are you doing? What show are you in? Yeah, it's like, let's not talk business. How's your family? How's your health? What's going on? You know, did you read any good books? You know, whatever. You know. Okay, next question.
Do you have an inspiration for acting? Like, is there an?
My gosh, you know, growing up, and this is going to sound really funny, but movies that I loved when I was little were like Jerry Lewis movies, these silly, crazy, you know, comedies. And then as I got older, I remember a movie that changed my life, and literally changed my life, was The Deer Hunter. I don't know if you've ever seen this. And it just awakened me to this whole world. Like, I thought it was like, I didn't realize, you know, I was a child during the Vietnam War, very little, and I was from a very conservative family, and you know, the protests and all that were and then hippies. My dad would like, oh, those hippies, you know, they weren't. And then it opened my mind to like, oh, there's another side to this. There's another side, and but I do remember, as conservative as my dad was, I remember him saying, because I was scared of being drafted. I was so scared. And here's this little kid going, I don't want to go to war. And he goes, son, A, you're not going to get drafted. And B, you're not fighting this war. I'll send you to Canada. Crazy things. I was like, you? But that movie, the cast of The Deer Hunter, it was Robert De Niro, was just, and it was one of Meryl Streep's first films too. Dustin Hoffman is just, you know, just brilliant. I just love watching a performance that you don't see the performance, you know, and especially now as I get, you know, as you studied acting, as I've worked and all that stuff, sometimes you see people acting and you're like, oh God, stop it. Just stop it. And, you know, the whole thing is trying to make it look like it's the first time it's happening, like it's the first, you know, as real. And everybody says it's real. There's nothing real about it. You know, there's, you know, when you're filming something, you know, there's a camera and there's lights and fake sets. And on stage, there are hundreds, maybe thousands of people in the audience watching you. Your job is to create the illusion of reality. And that when that really works, when I see a film or a performance where I am so into the story and I'm so into the, you know, the story they're telling, that I don't see the, you know, the fakeness of it or the, you know, artifice. It really is. Those are the performances and those are the films and those are the plays that I love, because it takes me away, and that's what I think the art is supposed to do.
Oh. Do you have a favorite acting role that you've done?
I love almost all of them. So I'm like, why am I doing this? Oh yeah, paycheck. I'd have to say I have two. One was I played this character Darius in a movie and the play and then the film called Jeffrey, which was an AIDS comedy back in the 90s, early to mid 90s. And it was quite wonderful. It was just, you know, Paul Rudnick, the playwright, has written a lot of films too. You know, it was during the height of the AIDS crisis, and he basically had this philosophy that if we lose our sense of humor, the disease has won. And it's kind of applies to everything. If you give in to the negative, you know, if you don't maintain your positivity, and in his case, his wit was his armor, and it saved him in a way. And it's a funny movie. It's very period. Olympia Dukakis, Nathan Lane, Sigourney Weaver, Steven Weber, and I played opposite Patrick Stewart. So that was fun.
Wow.
And I'd have to say, you know, Salvatore Romano in Mad Men was just a gift from the gods. It was just wonderful. You know, everything about it was, you know, from the beginning, from my first audition to, you know, the closing, where they had a big closing premiere thing, you know, in LA. It was just wonderful. Even though I just did the first 3 seasons, people are still coming up to me talking about the character and saying, "What happened? We wanted you to come back." I'm like, yeah, you're still talking about it, so they did something right. You know. But to work on that level with those kind of people, and, you know, like John Hamm, you know, I learned from Betty Buckley years ago to play the room you're in. Meaning, you know, if I'm just talking to you like this, I don't have to project like I'm talking to the theater, you know, across here. And if a camera's right there, you just have to think it. You know, you really do, and your face will do a lot. That's, you know, that's why they had silent movies for a long time, because sometimes your face can say a lot more than your mouth. Anyway, that I have to say that was wonderful. The scripts, the sets, the costumes. Janie Bryant is still a great friend. I love her. She did the costumes, and the cast, everyone. The best thing about that show is that we realized early on they were never, ever going to settle for mediocrity, and they were never going to let us look bad. Never. And that is so freeing for an actor to have that kind of trust, that mutual trust. They would not let you fail.
That's good.
It was like, you know, doing a big trapeze act with a wonderful net, you know.
I also liked doing Scream, the TV show.
Oh yeah, that was fun. You know, it's kind of funny. I had a weird thing for that audition. You know, they wanted me to put myself on tape, and I was trying to get on a plane to go to New York for something, and I ended up, you know, I think it was a friend of mine was opening a show, or I can't remember what it was. No, it was I had to go up for a premiere and then an opening of a Broadway show. I put myself on tape, and I sent it. And as I'm driving to the airport, my agent calls and says, "Oh, they have other sides. They have the revised, you know, scene for you to read." I said, "I've just sent it." I said, and he goes, "Well, can you do it again?" I said, "No, I'm getting on a plane." And I went to New York. I said, I mean, look, if they can't tell from my reel of my body of work and like that I can do this part, then don't cast me, because it's kind of crazy. I can't jump through any more hoops, but you change 2 words, it's not going to make that much difference in my performance. Anyway, so I get up to New York, and I think I had something to do with my friends the next night, but that night I went to the opening of Finding Neverland. It was a Broadway musical. And I didn't realize this. I wasn't even thinking, but Harvey Weinstein was one of the producers at that. And he was the Weinstein Company was one of the producers of Scream, the series. And I met him this is all before all this went on, and I was like, just send a tape or something like that. And then, the show happened and then all this other stuff happened. But that was a fun show. The young actors were quite wonderful, quite talented. And, everyone, when I got on the show, some of my friends in LA were like, oh God, you're on, one of these teen shows. Beware, the kids are going to be acting up and crazy. And they were great. They were great and respectful of everybody and, really cool. And, but I think it also helped that they had the fear of being whacked, being killed, on the show. I didn't for some reason, having been written off of Mad Men, and taking this job, and then I looked at the character and said, well, he's going to go. He's got to go. Something has to happen with him. And it all worked out, because I was supposed to do this. I wanted to do a play in L.A. with Betty Buckley. I wanted to do the L.A. premiere of Grey Gardens. If you haven't seen the musical, rent the documentary or watch the HBO Grey Gardens. It's quite interesting, fascinating story. But I wanted to do that, and I told them, I said, look, if I'm going to be killed, it's coming, right? And they go like, well, we're not sure. And I said, just let me know. Here's the date that I'm supposed to start rehearsal. And literally, I was filming my, death scene with the, tongues coming out the back, the pitchfork that I got killed. And literally, like, rushed home and packed and went to LA to begin to join the rehearsal because they were already like 2 weeks into it. And anyway, it all worked out. And usually it doesn't. Usually, like, I have this saying, like, book that non-refundable ticket on a plane and you get the part,
If you could pick any movie, TV show, play, etc., what role would you have loved portrayed? Obviously you didn't, but you wish you did.
Oh, that I didn't. The one that really got away that I wanted when I first moved up to New York, I was called back for the original company of Les Miserables, and I didn't get it. I don't think I was ready. I still am a horrible auditioner. I get nervous. If I want the part really badly, I get really nervous. And if I don't care, or I'm not, I don't know what it is, or because like Mad Men, I didn't know what it was. I was in the middle of a rehearsal for a play. I ran over to the casting office, literally on my lunch break, and read it. When I got home, my agents called and said, "You got it." I'm like, "What?" And but it was like for AMC. I'm like, "Who's going to see this?" Because before that, AMC was not a network. It was a network, but it just showed old movies. There was no original programming. Mad Men was the first, then Breaking Bad, of these high quality, lofty, smart, intelligent, things on basic cable. Yeah. Usually you'd have to pay extra on HBO or Showtime or something like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's the one that got away. There's what I really want to do. Someone said, what part do you always want to do? It's like the one that's being written for me right now. You want that perfect fit. You want that challenge. Like what I was doing before the pandemic hit was The King's Speech, and I was playing Lionel Logue, and I hope it does happen because I almost turned it. I almost said, no, because it was Tom, my husband, who said, "You've got to do this. This is a big challenge," because it was out of my wheelbox. I hadn't played something like this in forever, and it was the director that I worked with in Grey Gardens, and he's the director of my play Dear Mr. Williams, and he just called, and when a producer and a director call and offer you a role, without auditioning, you kind of go, yeah, this is what I like. You don't have to jump through the hoops and prove it, but you still have to prove it when you do it. And I love the play. I love the message of the play. I can't wait to do it. I think it's some of the themes are eternal, and I think we need to hear these. We need to hear beautiful words. I mean, smart, intelligent words come out of politicians' mouths. I mean, or people in high places, and unlikely friendships that are born out of that. I mean, the story of Lionel Logue and the King. It's just it's a story about duty and honor and stepping up to the plate and doing the right thing. And I like all that.
Over the years of your career, do you still keep in touch with your co-stars, directors, etc.?
Some I do. Yeah. It's kind of like, it's like any job, I guess. It's just that your job changes. So if you work at a place for a long time, you don't always, you see them all day long, you work all the time. There may be just a few that you will hang out with after hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just how you connect with people, or location. A lot of my friends are in New York and LA that I work with that I would see much more if I were there. I'm not there. But when I do go there, I do see them. I still keep in contact with Christina Hendricks a lot.
Cool.
I love her. Some of the guys from Mad Men. Janie Bryant, who's a costume designer, Mad Men, and then a lot of Broadway friends, and it's random, it's random who sticks, what sticks and what doesn't, but the only thing I really miss about New York and Los Angeles is the ability to see more of your friends, your theater friends, and at a moment's notice, especially in New York, because, I call the Broadway district, the quad. Because it's like, you can walk down the street and you see friends and people from shows that you've worked with before, or you go to some of the eateries around there, and there they are, you just hang out. It's kind of great in that way. LA is a little too spread out. There's not like,
Yeah, come to Chicago, right?
Oh yeah, see, Chicago's the same way. I love Chicago.
Yeah.
I had a knee replacement there last summer. Yeah, kind of let's hope it's better circumstances.
Who is the coolest person you've worked with?
Oh, John Hamm.
John Hamm?
John
Okay.
Hamm. He's cool. He's wicked talented. Just a stand-up good guy and funny. He's a good man and cool as what.
Yeah.
No.
You can swear, it's fine.
Yeah, that's cool. He really is. That's the coolest person I've worked with. Patricia Clarkson.
Oh wow. Okay.
Love letters together. And she's a dear friend, and we did it as a benefit. I'd love to work with her again, too. And she's just cool and gorgeous and wonderful.
What director taught you the most, and which director would you love to work with?
Which director taught me the most? I have to say, wow, this is a hard one. I think there's each one has. It's hard to pick one. I try to learn something as I go through life and working with different directors. Chris Ashley, who's a wonderful theater director who also directed Jeffrey and the movie of Jeffrey, basically, told me just relax. He said, and let the process happen. You don't have to have the performance at the first day of rehearsal. You know what I mean? Let me relax and create and maintain it. He said, like, one of the reviews came out and one of my lines was like quoted in the paper as the message of the play. And I after that I tried not to read reviews because I read it and they gave me really good reviews. So and the next time I said it, it was almost said with that, and now I'm going to say the important line. And that's not what it is. It's really a line from the mouth of babes. It's like from this dizzy chorus boy comes this pearl of wisdom in the play. I learned that from him. Jerry Zaks is another big Broadway director, and I remember learning from him. He's always said, make the positive choice, make the positive adjustment. It's so easy to go to a negative place or anger. Try to find the positive, because that's what people are going to really, look. Michael Wilson, who I'm working with now, is just a joy. he brings so much happiness to the room and so much positivity that you just cannot not be your best.
Yeah.
You know, it makes you want to be your best. It makes you want to show, just create, and I love that. I love that. That's so much fun. And there's a lot of episodic directors that I've worked with, you know, on Scream and Mad Men that, you know, it's you learn as you go along. I'd love to work with any good people. You know, I have no time for games. I can't stand it. I don't like negativity, and you see some of these directors going crazy. I'm like, keep your craziness in your room. You know what I mean? I just have it drives me crazy. I don't like unkindness. I mean, you can get a good performance out of me without trying to make me feel bad.
Yeah, all right.
You know?
If you weren't an actor, what would your career be? And what other interests and hobbies do you have besides acting?
Oh, if I wasn't an actor, I would be some form of designer or artist. I know that. I was actually in school in New York at Parsons School of Designs for fashion design. And then I got my first Broadway show, so I dropped out. But I've always loved costume and fashion and all that stuff. In fact, I did a little Instagram interview with Janie Bryant, and she's like, "You're a designer." I'm like, "No." She goes, "Yes, you are." So, because I make traditionally for New Year's, God, for almost 20 years now, I make these incredible New Year's hats, and they're works of art and kind of, you know, headdresses and crazy. And people like now when they come to the New Year's party, they get there right on time to get their hat, you know. But yeah, I'd be some kind of designer, I think.
Okay. Do you have any other interests and hobbies?
I love, God, you know, I should get more. I don't. I used to love. I never really liked working out. I hate that. But I would take classes. I would take movement classes and aerobic classes, and now I just walk in the park. I do love. I do love, you know, helping with different charities and volunteer work. I do. I've been on several boards and non-for-profits and stuff like that. I like giving back. I like mentoring, or, you know, helping, you know, young people, or you know, giving whatever advice I can in life or in theater or whatever, you know, to help them along. I should not look at the internet so much. I should get off Facebook and read a book, but, you know, it's there. I mean, I'll get back to my regimen. I just, and I do love having good little dinner parties, you know, having several guests over and sitting and conversing and sharing a good meal. I love that. There's no really hobbies, you know. I paint. I like to paint. You know, I try to keep out of trouble.
That's good. That's at least good. Favorite band and type of music?
God. You know, okay, my favorite type of music, besides theater music, of course, you know, theater and the classics like Cole Porter and all that stuff, and Gershwin. But modern music, my favorite modern music, I listen, don't laugh, but I always go back to, I think Elvis Costello is a genius.
Oh, okay, I've heard it.
And Blondie. And it was the music
Blondie's good. Okay, that's good.
That is like parallel lines, and then all of the albums before that and after. But that album kind of defined my high school experience. That and new wave kind of, you know, not punk as much, because punk is so angry and, you know, atonal. But I really got, you know, and then I met Deborah Harry later on. Several years ago, I was invited to Elton John's. He gives out these AIDS charity awards in New York, and it was the height of Mad Men. I was invited, and Tom and I went, and we thought, oh, you know, he'll just, you know, he'll be over there on the stage. It was this big dinner party, and literally, like, he was like no more. I mean, he was like 10 yards, not even 10 yards away, performing, and he did like a whole set. But before, there was a cocktail hour, and all these celebs were like, and literally Deborah Harry comes up and she goes, "You're that guy from Mad Men. I love that show." And I'm like, I couldn't say anything. It was just the same thing when I met Meryl Streep. It was like she had seen the show and she watched the show, and it was at the SAG Awards, and during at commercial breaks, everyone runs to the bar or they run to go talk to friends, and I'd seen Jane Krakowski on the red carpet, but we didn't get to talk, and we saw each other. We ran over to talk to each other because we did our first Broadway show together many years ago, Starlight Express. And, they make the announcement, please take your seats. We're going back to camp, on. So everyone's rushing back. And I'm, trying to get back to my seat. And someone stood up from the table and bumped into me and literally propelled me into Meryl Streep. And she kind of stopped my fall. And she looks at me and she goes, I love Mad Men. My husband and I watch it every Sunday night. I'm like, I can die a happy man because Meryl Streep has seen my work and, I guess thinks I'm okay. But, Blondie, to answer your question.
Yeah, I was fortunate. I've actually met my favorite band, Queen.
Oh.
Yeah, I met Bryan and Roger. I was like so happy.
Oh, wow, cool. I mean, just that's some of that iconic music. You're like, wow. I just watched, I rewatched Rocket Man. I just loved it. It's such a great movie. Music. Yeah.
Elton John, he's so good.
Oh, amazing.
Oh my God. Yeah. Hopefully, when things get back to normal sooner rather than later. Are there any projects you have in the works?
Like I said, my play Dear Mr. Williams about growing up in New Orleans, and also through the words of also partially told half and half Tennessee Williams, half me. And I just go and do Tennessee and then myself. And this play, The King's Speech. I really would love to do that. Huh. But that's it. I mean, that's we're hoping something loosens up so we can work again. But because the acting in your living room is not, it's not the same.
Yeah. Okay. What advice would you give younger people who also want to become an actor?
I had it said to me over and over again when I was younger, and everybody said, if you can do something, if you can be happy doing something else, do it. But if you have to be an actor, you'll know. And that's the big decision. Because you do. People don't realize, especially a stage actor, you sacrifice a lot. You do, if you get the job, it's 8 shows a week and the show goes on. I mean, no matter what. And, you miss, so much because usually your day off is Monday. No one gets married on a Monday. No one has a big celebration or anything you want to attend on a Monday. So it's that, and it's a sacrifice. Everything worthwhile you have to work for and you have to sacrifice. I would tell them to study as much as you can. But not just theater and acting and everything, history and everything. Just read as much as you can, learn as much as you can. No one wants a dim actor. Also, just in life and acting too, is show up on time, be prepared, and keep your slate clean. Don't be positive. You don't talk trash about other actors or other projects. Everyone thinks, to bitch about, oh, I hated that. It was horrible. I'm like, I see people on Facebook, trashing these people's performances. And like, I want to go, they're a friend of mine, or who are you? Just say, I think that's what Facebook and all this stuff gives everybody a platform. Everyone's entitled to opinion, but as an actor, be careful because you don't know who's listening. Yeah. To what you're saying. I remember Tom and I went to go see Passion, a Stephen Sondheim musical that really wasn't, it's not my favorite of his work. And it was in previews. And they were getting laughs in places where I'm sure they didn't want laughs, and we were watching it and I was about to say, because something happened something like, I went, oh my God, can you, and Tom goes, shh. I'm like, what? He goes, look who's in front of you. And it was Stephen Sondheim and James Lapine, the director. And he's like, so then we had like a 5-block rule. We would not talk about a show until at least 5 blocks away from it. But, just the golden rule, do unto others as you would have do unto you.
Well, is there anything you want to promote or shout out?
I got nothing. Oh no, I do. July 17th, a
Okay.
movie I made, and I was, small supporting part. It really was a fun movie. I play this Texas cop, and it's very funny. It's called Easy Does It,
Okay.
and it's funny. It's coming out on July 17th. Easy Does It in theaters and on demand. So check it out.
Okay. And then wear a mask, right? Tell people.
What's that?
Tell people to wear a mask, right?
Yes, wear your mask. Stay 6 feet apart. Just do your part. Do it. It's not much. It's not that much.
Well, I thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, Mr. Batt, for being a guest.
Sure.
Okay. Have a great day, everybody, and stay awesome.